ecological issues. They affect us all. And so, tonight on Second Nature, we'll be recycling some old nature footage.
Folks, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on a Tuesday night this time. I'm mixing it up on everybody. Yes, sometimes there's the Monday night streams that have become pretty regular, but tonight is the night that we've decided to do it, folks. I was going to do it last night, but I just didn't feel like it. We got so much Vonhelton to catch up on. We still have the Ms. Parker stuff. And I was debating, do I do the Ms. Parker stuff tonight to finish that off, or do I do the Flat Earth stuff? I actually want to do, I think it would be cool to do the Ms. Parker segment, the last hour of that hangout that she had with Vonhelton on the weekend with her. So I've just been lazy. I haven't reached out to her on Discord. If you see this, Ms. Parker, I'd like to do a live stream with you where we recount the encounter, so to speak, of Vonhelton. I'd like to do that in the near future. Folks, thank you for joining me on another Tuesday night. No, it's not Thursday, Quasi. We are on a Tuesday night. We're going to do this Flat Earth thing. This guy, this Flat Earth expert, this advocate of Flat Earth, Mark Sargent. I have no idea who he is. Apparently, he's kind of somebody amongst Flat Earth bloggers online. Not top tier of the ladder, not top rung, but he's some rung along the ladder somewhere. At least I mentioned his name and a couple people had heard of him. I personally have no idea because I don't follow these fucking flakes on the internet, you know, flat earthers and all that kind of stuff. And even though if you've been with my channel for quite a while, or at least one of the earlier incarnations of my channel that's been taken down over the years, you know that I used to take the time to actually debunk this kind of stuff. You know, go through with a, you know, a fine-tooth comb and contact experts and, you know, cite my sources and do all that kind of stuff. I gotta be honest with you, with the Flat Earth, I've just never had a heart for it. I just don't even see, like, it's just so ridiculous to me to waste the time going through it. And what these guys and like the flat earthers and the young earth creationists or whatever the case may be, one thing they have in common, they never actually present a case or a model for what they're saying they believe in or what they're proposing, right? It's all just basically arguments from ignorance. It's like all they want to do is poke holes in the current theory and say, by default, I win. And it's all just like, well, I don't understand this, so I get to insert whatever I want. And that it's, they live in the realm of who's to say, right? Who's to say? Hey, we don't know. Who's to say? Maybe it is a pink leprechaun or a invisible unicorn or whatever, right? That's kind of where these guys live. So I don't really spend a lot of time on this. Now, I haven't watched all this. I've only watched about 10 minutes, and I think in the first 10 minutes I stopped it 4 times because I was just like, oh my God. So I'm going to try not to talk too much during this because, again, this is not a debunking per se, right? This is more an exposition, if you will. I like to do expositions these days. And this is a perfect example of someone who can look not Vonhelton, sound not Vonhelton, even be passable in the general public as, quote, normal, but is just as fucking stupid as Vonhelton. Now, don't get me wrong. This guy, again, I got to give it a chance, to be fair. I'm going to watch more of it. This Mark Sargent guy, I mean, he sounds confident in what he's saying. He's articulate, right? But, folks, the sure sign of a bullshitter is when they're sitting with other bullshitters, they will tolerate the other bullshit as long as they know they're going to have their turn to bullshit next, right? Bullshitters will never clash unless it directly contradicts their own bullshit. And you'll see, even within the first many moments of this, no matter how ridiculous or moronic the statement that Vonhelton makes, this guy agrees with it and uses it as a springboard to get to his next point. That should be suspect right there. So, folks, please thumbs up the video, all that good stuff. We are going to move forward with this. Like I said, I'm going to try not to stop it too many times. It's about an hour and a half. Originally, this was on Cisco's YouTube channel. Of course, John up in the corner, who absolutely does not believe in Flat Earth, is entertaining this. He's mirroring it on his channel. Still in the orange Met shirt, folks. We got to be, 3 months on that shirt now? He is totally disinterested. I think he's actually calculating how many cans and bottles he has to take back to get the necessary supplies to off himself on Minecraft. In Minecraft, folks, just so I'm clear. But before we get into this, folks, we have a special treat. You've had the chili dogs with the Von. But now we got the burgers with the Von. He made a burger video. I think someone said Fat Photog made a video of this. I'm sure he has. I haven't checked it out yet. But here we are in Ma's kitchen. That's the infamous gas stove. Do you guys remember when Ma didn't have any heat and he told his like 93-year-old mother just to open the gas oven and open it in the middle of the winter because he didn't want to fix the furnace. But now, don't get me wrong. I know modern gas ovens aren't the same as like the 19-whatevers when people stuck their heads in them and stuff, right? But still, I'm just saying, that's the stove. Folks, let's get some burgers by the Von.
All right. I love how the trolls say I never cook. So we're doing burgers by the Von here. We did hot dogs by the Von. Now we're doing burgers by the Von. And I am literally cooking with Crisco. So it can truly be said, I'm cooking with Crisco. We're cooking with Crisco. We're making us some burgers here. And I got tomatoes and I got crushed lettuce, or sliced lettuce. And I got the mayo, the ketchup, the mustard. And so we're cooking us up some burgers here. Burgers by the Von. Everybody loves them. Even the trolls want a burger by the Von. So, but yeah, what do they say all the time? He never cooks. He never cooks. Well, I'm cooking now, motherfuckers. So screw all you trolls. But anyway, so yeah, literally, I am literally cooking with Crisco. Object placement. But yeah, I'm literally cooking with Crisco. And so I wanted to document that we are doing burgers by the Von, and they're going to be, the lady at the store said they are absolutely delicious. So we're going to find that shit out. Anyway, just wanted to document this. See you, bye. Alrighty. One burger made. Alright. Burgers by the Von. As Solar Marshall says, Von, you make me hungry. Well, I'm making you hungry again, because here we go. Burgers by the Von. Got another one cooking. Let's see how we're doing. Oh yeah, Très Magnifique. Très Magnifique, mon ami. But yep, burgers by the Von. I bought me some tomatoes, and I got me some crushed lettuce here, and so we're cooking with Crisco. I don't know what this, I guess it's supposed to be a tortilla of some kind. Anyway, it was the crushed lettuce I wanted. Didn't really want the tortilla. But anyways, hey, I may keep the tortillas for later anyway. Who knows?
So just to be clear, rather than just buying the lettuce, which is probably cheaper to buy a head of lettuce, he actually bought like a wrap kit. He's going to throw the rest away and just use the little bit of whatever. Hey, maybe it was cheap. I don't know. I'm not going to nitpick, but I'm just saying, folks, burgers by the Von.
But yep, burgers by the Von. There's one that's done. And yep, I'm literally cooking with Crisco. So we'll get the other burger done and handled, and everything's going to be, say it with me, class, everything will be just ducky. And that's it. Y'all have a pleasant day and a better tomorrow. Bye.
All right, there's some burgers by the Von. Getting it on. All right, let's get into this flat Earth shenanigans. At least we have Solar Marshall there to propel the conversation forward somewhat. But okay, here we go.
There's the guy. That's Mark Sargent. How you doing, man?
Hi, guys.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah.
It's incredible, actually.
So we're all just kind of hanging out here, having a chit chat. If anyone has any questions about flat Earth, please come on in.
It's a good show.
So, Mark, this is my first kind of interview thing.
Okay.
So how are you doing today?
If you want to record it, just go ahead and hit it.
Oh, I'm not recording. If you want to record, go ahead.
I need G-Man, someone get a hold of G-Man
now! Toby Michael donated $5 through Super Chat. At least Von didn't wait for bugs on his sandwich.
Well, that's Ma's trailer, though.
Said, what should
Give
I
it
do?
time.
What, Postal? You better fucking believe it. Go, 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 go.
Flubus Cartel has just donated $2 through Super Chat. Ma's house is now squalor.
It'll get there. It's getting there. Give it time. You know, fortunately, Von hasn't cooked very much in this trailer. Contrary to what he's trying to portray with Burgers by the Von, he's a microwave chef. We all know that. He shows us every day what he eats on his live streams. He lives. I am convinced it's actually the preservatives in those TV. I think when they bury Vonhelton, It'll be a big Schwann's like black TV tray with a big wrap of cellophane across the top, and they'll lower him in. After, of course, science dissects him and takes his brain, because I'm convinced that it's encased in a almost a gelatin of Mountain Dew from throughout. Anyways, folks, I'm digressing.
Good reason I can go to work tonight.
It'll be on my live
The
stream.
basic version. He doesn't let guests record, unfortunately.
That's fine.
I'm gonna have to. Hang on.
It's okay.
You don't let guests record, Cisco? What's up with that, man?
I don't have a premium for StreamYard.
Oh, I see what you're...
Yeah, sorry, I had to mute these guys. So, how are you doing?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I am doing well. How about you?
Oh, I just got off work, and I've been trying to communicate with you on last week, but I've been nonstop working, man.
That's all right. Who is Baron Erwin Eugen Vonhelton?
Oh, he's the guy who he's a good speaker, like kind of like you, sort of thing.
Cool.
He's good. So
he's also not there. So
yeah, I think he went to let his dogs out or something.
So how long did you want to do this?
I'd say we go for about 30 minutes, see how that goes, and if it goes well, we'll go for another hour.
Another hour after the first 30 minutes?
Oh no, I meant like add another 30 minutes on top of that.
Well, we'll see how the first 15 minutes goes. Then we'll do 90. It's like, what?
Yeah, so I might have called into your show before, so like your Karen B's channel.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. She got she's gonna have to do her stream next week off of another channel because she got a hate speech strike this morning for an Owen Benjamin video that's been on her channel for 2 years.
Yeah.
Which means that somebody manually, I mean, Owen gets, come on, the man gets some of the worst trolls, and they sought out anyone who has his stuff anywhere, and they're just throwing strikes, just saying it's hate speeches. And
anybody else getting the impression that already this Mark Sargent guy is looking for a backdoor? He's just like, I hope this 30 minutes flies by. I mean, I guess he sticks around for a while, but I'm just saying, I think at this point right now, he's like, I hope this stream crashes.
What?
If you want to know about
the real Owen Benjamin that used to be on Alex Jones's show, the big tall guy,
really, really tall comedian,
6'8". Yeah. Owen Benjamin was throwing. Oh yeah, he does say stuff that goes beyond
if he's going to offend any, I take your pick. I'm going to open everybody. He will equally offend black people and Jewish people.
Yes, he does it on purpose too.
I know. I know. And Karen should have known. Well, I mean, come on, she was living on borrowed time with that one. But 2 years later, yeah.
Oh, they waited 2 years to hit him. Yeah, I've had that happen.
Well, no, it's not that they waited. What happened was if you get hit 2 years after the fact, that means that somebody was manually going through YouTube and looking for any Owen Benjamin interview, and then firing off, listening to it, firing off hate speech requests.
Well, I remember.
Well, part of this is how the conspiracy mind works. YouTube does actually go back as algorithms advance and whatnot. Because I mean, I get stuff taken down from 2 years ago, right? It's not because people are just like singling out a particular like whatever, that's it. They go through them, especially if you try to monetize your stuff, and eventually, if there's stuff in it, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years later, as they update their policies. They're going to take the shit down. Just the way it is. It's not like a group of people out there nefariously going through like these videos. I doubt it. Anyways.
A couple of channels that he had been on when him and Alex Jones started fighting.
Yeah.
He would go on channels and stuff like that, and they'd hammer him. They would hammer that channel like 6 months later, just like you're saying now. Now it's 2 years later, and there was nothing they could do. They would hammer out like video after video. He was just like, personally, Owen Benjamin, man, I don't get him. I know he's a comedian and stuff like that. I don't understand him. But,
he every once in a while, I'm a big believer in law of averages. There's always going to be people on both sides of the bell curve, and he was one of those Hollywood people that saw what Hollywood was about. The whole lifestyle and what you have to do. And he's like, screw this. I'm going to burn bridges on the way out. He went scorched earth and called everybody out on his way leaving town, and then never looked back.
Right.
And and it just got worse after that. He developed a pretty big following, and almost cult-like status, in the truther community. And now he's living. He doesn't have a compound or anything, but he's out in Idaho and doing
he had showed his home and all that stuff. Remember, he had explained how he was getting rid of his garbage and everything. He went trying to live. I thought, man, come over to where I live at and live like an Amish person does, and let's see how well you do. Because he was
right.
He was there, but he wasn't there. He doesn't get it.
And by the way, do you
commit?
I really loved. I throw this at people every once in a while, although not as much as I should. It's like, wow, wasn't it weird how all the Amish people died during the pandemic? oh, right. They
didn't take the vax during the pandemic. They were all busy farming.
They don't take anything, and they should have been wiped out.
Well, again, folks, we don't want to get into the minutia here. Just take a moment to appreciate Vonhelton put on sunglasses to impress this flat Earth expert, folks. This is it's bad to the bone, folks. He's Oh, and by the way, though, I do want to correct that, folks. YouTube, if you're listening, I do not endorse anything these meatheads say. I would suspect that, like, people in Amish and Mennonite communities probably weren't hit as hard by the virus because they're isolated, right? They're socially distanced. That was the whole point of the lockdowns. But anyways, I digress.
And yet nobody wants to talk about the Amish people. It's like, all right, that's fine.
I live right next to them too. I drive 30 miles. They're all over the place in their horse and buggies, and people find that hard.
Oh yeah,
I'm right now.
I've always been real good friends with them, and I
was gonna say you're in Ohio, Vaughn, so you know.
Well, I've been in Ohio and Kentucky, and I've helped. Yes. So I've helped the Amish and what was the other ones? Mennonites and.
The Mennonites.
I've always helped them people.
Here we go. I forgot about this. This is a new Vonhelton story. Put this one in your pocket, folks. He implies that he is fangirling over this Sargent dude, right? First he comes in with sunglasses, now he wants to butt in the conversation, and listen to what Vonhelton has to say, how he's helped the Amish people. Check it out.
Amish.
Well, the thing of it is, see, they're nonviolent.
Electricity.
Yeah. They're nonviolent, and they know I'm not. And so they, they're like, hey, can you help us out with certain situations? And I'm more than happy to help them.
So, Mark,
Vaughn is so badass, folks. I never heard this before. He actually went out and was a vigilante on behalf of the Amish, doing what they couldn't, folks.
You get into a flat Earth, what's your big three major points?
You guys are both flat Earthers, man. Go for
it. That's true.
Everybody here's a flat Earther. So, what's your major? How'd you get into it?
John's on the fence.
Solar Marshal, you got any questions?
No, you know what's incredible? Timing's everything. I'm sitting here getting messages. Hey, come on the show. They say Mark Sargent. They said Mike Sargent first. So you mean Mark Sargent? I said, I know who Mark Sargent is. He has no clue who I am.
Mm-hmm. I was supposed to be Mike, by the way. I was.
Oh, yeah?
I was changed to Mark at the last minute.
Really?
For real? For their twins?
Oh, wow.
So when people call me Mike, I was like, that's close enough.
Well, let's put it this way. I've seen you on a number of shows, and I was kind of surprised when they said you were coming on. I thought they were joking at first. No, you are the most popular. You are the most popular, in my opinion.
Well, we get trolled a lot.
You're the most popular.
Everybody here is a good speaker, so
you're the most popular flat earther guy out there.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know of.
I mean, there's some guys that get bigger numbers, but I think I've probably done the most. I mean, David Weiss does more interviews. There's half a dozen channels that have more subscribers and stuff like that. But I tend to get the most opportunities. But honestly, that's mostly because I doxed myself immediately. I did the really, really smart thing, which was put all my contact information.
Honestly, that's mostly because
John.
I doxed my.
Where's the echo?
Okay, someone's feedback, guys.
Oh, sorry.
Let me ask you this, Mark. This is
Yeah.
something that Vaughn and I were talking about the other night in private. There's many people out there that believe in flat Earth, but they'll never come forward and stuff because of the embarrassment that it causes them and
Sure.
stuff like that.
Sure.
And this as well in the professional world. It really, people are like, oh, he's a fucking flat earther. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
We were talking the other night about when you look out to the ocean, okay, what surprises me is this. You look straight out to the ocean. We could not figure out for ourselves per foot or per 10 feet or per ever how many feet, how many inches you drop.
Right.
And what we had read, Vaughn, was it you drop 8 feet every or 8 inches.
8 inches per mile per mile.
8 inches per mile. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, 8
So-
inches per mile.
But it's per mile, so it is squared. So at 10
Explain that,
miles,
please.
the
Yeah.
easiest way is like at 10 miles would be 10 times 10, which is 100 times 8 inches, which is 800 inches. But if you go out to 50 miles, it's 50 times 8 inches, which is pushing 1,700 feet.
Holy moly!
Because it gets more extreme.
It's compounded, right?
Yeah, it's
correct.
compounded.
Right, but as a flat earther, you can't believe that.
Well, see, the thing of it is,
Right? Am I right or wrong?
There's tons of videos out there where
Yeah.
the guy says, "Zoom in on that ship and let me see it," and so they zoom in on that ship, and they show him the ship, and then he's like, "Now zoom in past the ship," so he zooms past the ship, and they can still see the ship, they can still see everything. So I mean, sorry, we're on a flat Earth. Sorry, you're gonna have to deal with it, folks.
Yeah.
Like it or
I
not,
mean, it's
you know?
crazy.
To your question, by the way, what should I call you?
Call me Dan.
Dan. Hi, Dan.
My name was Solar Marshall, but everybody knows me as Dan. That's my real name. You call
you're
me
right.
Dan if you want.
Flat earthers don't believe in the 8 inches per mile squared.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that.
Obviously.
Yeah, no, of course
If you
we
look
don't.
at the ocean, it can be disproven pretty quickly.
What I love is when scientism or scientists come back and they say, well, it's not 8 inches per mile squared. I go, all right. And yes, it is true. The math gets more fuzzy after about 500 miles, but everybody can agree that less than 500 miles, 8 inches per mile squared is what you're going to go with.
Right.
And it's like, there's not going to be an observation past 500 miles with a camera. Unless you're talking about high altitude stuff, which gets even weirder. Although there have been radar reports. I've talked to military guys that have seen things with radar way past what they should.
Well,
this is one thing I never got with flat earthers, right? Like, well, one, why has no one taken a picture of the flat Earth? Two, he says, well, with a camera, but there's telescopes. I mean, we can see Saturn, right? Like, according to this guy, you should just be able to go to any hill around here and look clean across to Africa, right? Like, there should be no, like, there should be no problem if it's a flat plane, right? But none of them's done that. Interesting.
The thing I always bring up to the ballers is the U.S. Navy laser tests.
Yeah.
I mean, you got targets hundreds of miles away, and they're hitting that sucker with the laser every single time.
Yeah.
And that right there should be enough to convince anyone, hey, we're on a flat plane, an infinite flat plane. But
the general public, as you know, and I
notice Vaughn said infinite flat plane again, and this guy just rolls with it.
Mentioned this I don't know how many times. The general public is simple. I'm being kind when I say this, meaning the math club and the physics club in any high school are tiny by comparison to everything else. Band, really, really big. Physics club, really, really small.
Right.
So and that's it. And yet those people, those same people, those physics people, are so beholden to the science that got them to where they are. That when something goes against the science, that it's obvious, straight in their face, they're going to still back science. Like the everything that has to do with the Apollo missions, like the spacesuit.
And by science, what he actually means are like objective facts that have been demonstrated. Things that are, we live on a sphere, folks. But these guys have the attitude that, no, we're on a flat Earth, and for me to prove that we live on a flat Earth, you first have to prove that the Earth's a triangle or a rectangle. If you can't prove that the Earth is a triangle or a rectangle, then my flat Earth wins. That's the game that these people play. Anyways,
Can't work. Absolutely cannot work in the vacuum space.
No.
And
Yeah,
yet,
I have a ton of questions about the moon because the moon.
well, shoot. Go ahead. Throw
No.
any questions.
Oh no, I didn't want to interrupt you, man.
No. I tend to ramble, so hit me.
Okay, the moon. Okay, I'm fascinated by that my entire life.
Topic
And,
drift is a thing.
met a guy that totally changed my life about a number of things, and he was an Air Force whistleblower, very famous guy. He passed away in 2017. I'm not gonna mention his name on here, but
Okay.
because that'll cause distraction. Now let me just say something. We know for a fact that in space, okay, sound should not travel.
Right.
Am I right about that? Now,
Right. Nothing.
No
should
one
travel.
can hear you scream.
it's
Yeah.
a vacuum. You can't
Yeah.
hear shit in a vacuum. Sorry,
Right.
you just can't. Okay. So in a vacuum, they're on the moon. I forget which. I used to have all this crap memorized, but I'm 50 now and I don't have the stuff memorized anymore.
That's old. 50.
They throw.
I'm pushing
Remember,
60.
they
Give
throw
me
a
break.
damn hammer. They throw a damn hammer to the one guy, and you literally hear it bounce off the one guy's suit. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. What
Yeah.
if it tore his suit, and all this?
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
the thing was about the video was you could hear the damn impact. You could hear
Sure.
the
Not
damn
supposed
thing
to.
by there.
It's supposed to.
That right there is what blew my mind. I'm like, hang on a minute
Yeah.
here. There's
And-
no
and
way you should be able to hear that damn thing.
To your
being done
point-
in the sound studio.
To your point, it's not just that sound doesn't travel in a vacuum. Again, anyone that can look this up, there's been tests done for years and years and years and years, where you take a bell and you have a bell ringing in a vacuum chamber and you suck the air out and you can't hear the bell anymore.
Yes.
But nothing, excuse me, nothing happens in a vacuum. And by that I mean
Running.
when you're walking, you're walking because your feet are pushing off the ground. When you're swimming, your hands and your feet are pushing off the water. Even an airplane, technically speaking, isn't flying as much as it's just kind of swimming in a thinner version of water, right?
Correct.
Mhm.
Well, when a rocket is in a vacuum of space, what's it pushing off against?
Correct. Nothing.
Nothing.
Because there is
itself. So he is correct. Like when you're talking about, for example, you're talking about torque or horsepower or any of these things, depending on your mode of transportation, right? So the water is actually like the boat, right? The boat motor is actually moving cubic feet of water behind it, right? It's pulling you through the water by pushing water behind it. An airplane, right, uses a propeller to generate lift under its wings, right? But those are mediums, right? Which could be traveled across. So he's correct there, right? And they're correct about the sound in a vacuum, right? But that doesn't mean just because space is a vacuum doesn't mean there's nothing in it. I mean, where's it vacuuming it to, right? So it's true about the sound stuff, but what the difference being, would you notice, first of all, when they launch a rocket, which they do on an angle, by the way, it goes straight up off the launch pad, but it doesn't go straight up like a flat Earth would suggest. They actually go to an angle due to the fact they're launching from a curve and it's rotating, right? So they use that to their advantage, and rockets go through our atmosphere on an angle, right? But that all that kind of stuff aside, right? You'll notice that after the stagings of the rocket, it drops. Most of it's like, beyond the fuselage and stuff, beyond that, like all the staging of the rocket, right? You've seen it all drop off because it's not required in space. If you throw a golf ball and nothing interrupts its path, that golf ball will just go and go and go until it eventually meets something, right? Because that's how it reacts in a vacuum. Now, if you influence its trajectory, right, like by simply like pushing on one side or the other, sorry, I'm tripping over my words, it'll shift direction, right? So the thrusters that they use on space vehicles or things in space, it's a different principle because it's not moving it through a volume of anything. It's just influencing its direction by launching it off itself, right? That's the point of the thrust. Anyways, fuck. I could have done that better. I'm going to shut up now and just let them.
nothing supposedly.
Now, can you launch something into a vacuum? Sure. But once it's there,
It's
again,
done.
assuming space or the vacuum, it's not gonna. You're on your own. You're flying without a net. I mean, you can't make turns. You can't stop.
No.
That's it.
Not supposed to.
No.
Well, that's the thing that always got me, Mark, is once it is in a vacuum, a real vacuum, a real vacuum would have sucked all the fuel and the heat and everything right out of the daggone thing. It would have sucked it all out.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of your trip right there, real abruptly. That's the end of it.
I made a video 7 years ago called the For Want of a Nail. And it's based on the old, I don't know what you call it, a parable, a little story where you've heard it, where during the battle, there was a shoe, a horseshoe where the nail was lost, and because of the shoe, the horse was lost, and the rider was lost, the message was lost, and eventually it cascaded to where the battle and the war was lost, all because of one nail, right? Kind of like a butterfly effect. Yeah. But then I relate it to the spacesuit, where I said, the spacesuit, the U.S., especially NASA, the spacesuit does not work, cannot work the way it's advertised. No. And if the spacesuit is wrong, then everything tied to it is a lie.
Correct.
Everything freaking tied to it is a lie. And I have asked scientist after scientist, and no one even writes me anonymously. That's how I know I'm onto something, when the trolls don't even shoot me something anonymously. And they say, because I say, what magic thing is in the backpack? We'll just pick on Apollo, of the Apollo astronauts. I don't care about heating and cooling and oxygen and CO2 levels and all that crap.
Right.
Tell me what counteracts the vacuum of space.
Correct.
Tell me what imaginary force, because look, I'm a pretty clever guy. I can't even think of a fictional thing.
Well, that was going to be
that
was going to be one of my points, because in order to counter the
so right there, I'm a pretty clever guy, but I couldn't even think of anything. Now, keep in mind, I
need G-Man. Someone get a hold of G-Man now.
Sorry Wilson has just donated $1.99. Funny, us going out like this. Killed by a 100-foot marshmallow man.
It's coming for you. It's coming for you. Thank you, Wilson. But you guys, that's what I'm talking about. Right there is a classic case of, that's an argument from ignorance. I'm going to take a wild guess that Mr. Mark Sargent was not one of those physics book club, chess club guys he was talking about before. Right? I don't even think he was band class, to be honest with you. Right? And he's not an expert. He doesn't hold a degree in shit. These science-y people telling me facts and stuff, right? This guy, he just said that exactly what came out of his mouth is a classic textbook case of an argument from ignorance. Just saying.
Vacuum and prevent yourself from exploding, you would have to have an inward pressure of thousands of pounds per square inch. Well, what's that going to do to the human body? And that's the end of you. Okay.
Yeah, the people that say, "Oh, we're lowering it to like half an atmosphere," I go, "That wouldn't do nothing."
Look what happened to the Titanic sub recently. The Titanic sub that went down. Look what happened to them.
Well, there's actually questionable whether that was actually a real event or not.
I know, but if it was, it would have gone down that way.
Absolutely.
I actually like it as a real event, because as I try to tell people, I go, look, when it comes to rednecks, no offense to anybody here that might be redneck, when it comes to rednecks doing stupid things, we all know it's like, hey, hold my beer. Watch what I'm going to do with my lawn tractor and that wall of fire over there.
They do the dumbest. That's for sure.
We do dumb things. I mean,
we do.
Look at Fail Army and all the fail videos on. And by the way, I always think it's hilarious, and I'm doing reverse racism here, that all the horrible things that happened on the fail videos, they're all white people.
They're all white people.
Just in case you're confused by that term, there is no such thing as reverse racism. It's just racism, right? Doesn't matter if you're, a black person or an Asian or Latino. If you're racist, you're racist. There's no reverse racism.
White people.
I said that the other night. Somebody got pissed off at me. I'm like, did you ever notice that almost all the abductions are taking place by white people?
Yeah.
Alien abductions.
What's up with that?
I said,
because we wouldn't run. We just stare at the damn thing. Like look at the movie, the 90s movie Fire in the Sky. where those guys are out there.
Yeah,
with
Travis Walton's sitting there looking at the damn
yeah,
thing.
he's just
like,
staring
"Ah."
at us like, whoa.
And you know that whole damn movie is falling apart, right?
The what?
What's that?
That whole damn movie's falling apart. All the guys that were involved in it have come forward and been like, listen, it was bullshit.
It was all bullshit.
Oh.
What happened to me the other night wasn't bullshit. But
My point was, when it comes to rich people do dumb things too. They just do it. They just spend more money doing it.
Yeah,
there's no poor people that die on the side of Mount Everest. There's no poor
That's
people
right.
that are doing high-speed downhill skiing in Switzerland.
That's true.
There's no poor people in balloons that try to traverse the Atlantic or swim across the Atlantic.
Right.
And there's definitely no poor people in stupid submarines that want to take a look at the Titanic, which some people would do. It's like, I'm wealthy.
And they fire but Mark, the best part about it, they fire all the white people that know how to run the damn submarine. and then
Oh, out comes a nice little bit of. I don't know if you call that reverse racism. I think that's just flat out race. Like, what is the point that they're white and they got rid of all the white people, implying the accident wouldn't have happened if only those old white people were the ones pulling the lever. Like,
they think, oh well, what we just fired all the people that know how to actually run the submarine. What could possibly go wrong, right?
I know.
I mean,
I know.
seriously.
I kind of treat it like aircraft parts. They don't switch out aircraft parts based on cosmetic things. They switch it out based on time. It's completely different from cars. It's like you wait for a fan belt to break.
You're right.
Then you replace it. With airplane parts, it's
run
like,
hours, 1,000 run
it's like,
hours,
we've been running it for 300 hours. Yeah, that part's swapping out. I don't care what it looks like. We're swapping it out.
The military's synonymous with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when it came to this submarine, it's like, look, you just keep using this thing over and over. What do you think's going to happen? It's like stress, no stress, stress, no stress. Oh, hey, you're just rolling the cylinders on that gun.
That's right.
So
that's absolutely right. But here's the thing that got me about the whole story.
Yeah.
And this is probably why a lot of people now are saying it was fake as a $3 bill. Yeah. I mean, you look like you might have a little age on you.
I do.
You remember the undersea world of Jacques Cousteau?
Of course.
Okay. Every one of them damn submersibles. What was always the key factor of those submersibles? They were always tethered to a surface ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone, right?
Yeah, nothing was freestanding. No.
Nothing was freestanding. Exactly. And so, and so these Renaissance scientists, we're going to have a freestanding sub, when every single mission they always had a tether to a surface, at least one surface ship. And I think there on the last, they even started using like 2 and 3 surface ships because in case the one surface ship got in danger or something. Yeah. But I've never, especially something that important, like finding a find like the Titanic, you would think it would be tethered to a surface ship where you could get plenty of oxygen and you could get rid of the carbon dioxide and you could regulate the pressure. And but
take lessons from James Cameron. He went down with military grade equipment.
Correct.
And of course, he's friends with military people, so it's like they know exactly. It's like, oh, you're gonna go down and film Titanic shit. Yeah, here's what we're gonna help you out. We're gonna make sure you don't die.
Make sure you don't die. Right.
Oh, and Bill Paxton's going down with you. Yeah, we're definitely setting you up.
It was 14,000 feet.
Yeah, I know. It's stupid. I
mean, imagine,
I wouldn't even go down 100 damn feet.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Imagine
once it can kill you, I'm out.
Well, that's the thing. After a few thousand feet, I mean, you're just squished like a grape. I mean,
it's not slow. Yeah, what drove me nuts about
is they knew that damn thing was crushed and didn't tell the news.
Exactly. So where they were saying, they were like texting their last moments. I'm going, bullshit. They were not.
Well, it was being piloted by a
went down on a
PS2
Saturday,
controller.
right? They went down on a Saturday, and that thing was done on a Sunday, and they knew it. The Navy has the most complicated or the most.
But see, that's the whole
advanced
point.
sonar
But see, that's
they
the whole
heard
point.
it crush.
But that's the whole point, Dan. If the Navy had known it, they would have been required by law to report it.
And I hate to bring up conspiracy theorists, but Alex,
I know, Mark,
said,
but I'm just saying.
What
I'm going legal.
Distracting the world from the entire Hunter Biden pleading guilty that day, and I don't want to get into that, but that's what conspiracy is used for. They use that to They
Well,
literally.
now that would be a reverse conspiracy theory. Because,
It was reversely utilized to take over the entire news that week.
And
let's think about this. It was
Exactly.
captivating. It was so horrible to think about. I was at work every night going like, oh my God, those people are down there freezing. I can't take listening to this. It was driving me crazy just thinking about it. Those people are down there freezing. Their legs
Because
are
it had the name Titanic in front of it.
Dude, trust me. Like Mark said, it was over in a nanosecond.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was good. It was the drama sold papers. Well, again, let's segue into something else. But I want to end this with the Mark Twain. The Mark Twain quote applies most of all. He said, and I've used it many times. He goes, "Never let the truth get in the way of a good story."
Yeah, you're right.
Which is, it's like you embellish. I mean, every producer, I have learned so much from producers over the last 8 years, which is
you've been on TV a lot.
I'll use, one more quote, which is Carrie Fisher, the late Carrie Fisher. She was asked when reality television stars were getting in, if they were taking away jobs and opportunities from real actors, and she laughs straight at the person asking you the question. She goes, "What, are you kidding?" She goes, "If it's on television, it's not real."
Right.
And what she was basically
That's
saying
funny.
was, there's no such thing as pure reality television. There just isn't.
Right.
And we just don't know it because we are framed the illusion. Real quick, the Osbournes. Remember that show from years ago? The Osbournes,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
You remember the two kids?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah. There were three
Bums
kids.
on oxys and what's that?
There were three kids. There was an older daughter who would not sign the waivers, and so she was in the house the entire time, and they had to shoot around her.
Yeah.
And it's like, but if you ask anybody, it's like, oh, how many kids the Osbournes have? Oh, they had two. It's like, no, they had three. But because the one kid refused to be part of the production, she didn't exist. So I mean, she would go into bars and stuff. It's like, oh yeah, I'm blah 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 Osbourne. They're like, what are you talking about? I didn't see you on the show.
Yeah, and she's still around to this day, and people are like, "Who the hell is she?"
Yeah, who the hell is she? Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. Anyway,
Mark, what I'm looking for is the flat Earth model that I've often found very fascinating.
Sure.
It's the one that shows that we have when you have 24 hours of light. Excuse me. You have 24 hours of light.
Yeah.
At the North Pole, and what it shows is it's the flat Earth.
Yeah.
It shows the sun and the moon, and they're both traveling around this small spot.
Yeah.
The top of the Earth, and you have 24 hours of daylight and sunlight, and it to me it's just wild that you see this from above. They're showing it from above. It's obviously a digital rendering of what you would actually see.
Sure.
And I was just looking for it again. I don't know if you have that map or not. It actually is digital. It shows it that everything's swirling around and stuff.
Well, it's
To
on
me,
the.
it just made sense for the first time. Instead of the Earth spinning around and all this stuff, because those guys always say, John and Vaughn always say, yeah, that's easier to believe than a blob of water flying around at 18,000 miles an hour.
No way.
Around, 200-some thousand miles an hour flying around like that.
No
But
way.
that model always blew my mind and always touched my brain. What if it's right? The one that shows that the North Pole is lit up 24 hours a day.
That one, kind of. I know the green screen is going to kind of screw it up.
Yeah, the green screen screws it up. Yeah, but
that's real. That's real
because
time,
it shows
by the way.
the moon. Yeah, that's the
That's
path
real
of the
time?
sun right there.
That's the app that,
okay.
that we have out
Oh,
there.
is there an app? Can you put the app over in the chat over here so I can take a look at it?
Yeah,
Because that may be the one.
That may be the one. Yeah.
Hang on one second.
Because that one there, and I have trouble finding it when I want to show it to people.
Give me a second.
You probably get asked this question all the time, but
Holy
I
smokes,
haven't
he
heard it.
speaks,
What
dude.
got you into flat Earth?
Freaking chatterbox, John.
You are loud.
What was the trigger for you? What was the trigger for you to get you over to the flat Earth side?
A whole bunch of drugs. No, it was.
That's all of us, Mark. Huh?
Hang on. Here, I'll post the flat Earth app in. Is there a chat box in here?
It's over to the right.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, because I have something.
go.
Is it the summer where it's 24 hours of
Well,
okay.
there's a private chat and there's a public chat, but I banned the
He put it
public
in the
chat.
private.
You
because
can
of
post
private
that
chat.
wherever you want. to your question, John.
Whoa, check this out.
What got me into it, I actually delayed, by the way, for the longest time getting that app. I really regretted. After I got it, it's like, oh, I should have had this.
That's for iPhones, though, isn't it?
It's
yeah,
for
iPad and iPhone.
It's for Android
for
too,
iPhone?
isn't it?
I don't
Android?
see an Android
I think
connection.
Android carries it now. I think.
Well, here's
Should be
what
on
I'm going
most
to
of
do.
them.
Flat Earth.
Well,
moon,
that particular one's on Apple, but look up the Flat Earth Sun Moon Zodiac Clock app.
I
and
have
see.
it.
What? Do you have the link for the one that's in?
He'll give you the link. Yeah.
Android?
Since we're
Somebody
on
else
the
put the
chat.
link. That's the one I
All
put.
right, all right. Let Mark finish his.
Guys,
I got to
before he
answer.
gets it.
I got to answer John's question. So,
Yes.
what got me into it wasn't what gets most people into it. So when I made the clues back in 2015, I never, for example, mentioned long distance photography. Never, not once, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing in 2015. And people started emailing me because it was like, oh yeah, I ran out. I had so many emails. People's like, I ran out to the beach of this lake or Atlantic or Pacific or wherever they went, and they were shooting long distance photography over water. And I was going, why would you be doing that? It's like, because water is perfectly level and you can see further on a calm day. It's like, oh hey, that's pretty good. But that's not what got me. What got me was the deviation from human nature, which by that I mean Antarctica. The Antarctic Treaty was really what did it for me, because the Antarctic Treaty didn't make sense compared to everything else we've done in our civilization. The Antarctic Treaty, ratified in 1959, says that no corporation, no matter how much money you have, can set up shop there ever. And I'm going, you talking about? I go, you can start fracking in my neighbor's backyard like tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, we've got gobs of liquid resources, and there are companies that are just ruthless. They will, if there are resources to be had, they will do it, and they lock down.
Because there's probably not a whole lot there. Also, so people don't start wars over a worthless piece of land. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but I've actually debunked these claims that no one's allowed at Antarctica, because we do know people are allowed to go to Antarctica. And I've actually shown before in my videos, you can book as a private citizen a tour to Antarctica. You can actually go and rough it and get set up in a camp, and you get a boat cruise, and you end up in Antarctica. Any of these flat earthers can book themselves a trip to Antarctica and see the ice wall for themselves, but not one has done it. They always have this story that no one's allowed to go to Antarctica.
On Antarctica, tighter than a drum. Not only did they say that no corporations could do anything for the next 80 years, and not only is it the only unbroken treaty in the history of treaties, it's also Antarctica isn't owned by anyone. It's the only real estate in the world that's not owned by anyone. It's like,
there might actually be a discrepancy on that, because the wall itself is called Rockefeller's Wall. So,
okay.
I don't know if it's actually purchased.
I got you. But I mean, if you look up, meaning you can't go down there if you want to buy 10 acres in Antarctica. It's not going to happen.
No, not going to.
If you want, it doesn't matter how much money you have, and that was the kicker for me, especially with the oil and gas companies. When Richard Byrd goes on television in the 50s, it's like, oh yeah, there's coal, there's oil and gas, there's minerals, there's uranium, and we might even start fighting over this place. And then a few years later, they just put up a big go away sign and chain link the door. It's like, what? Wow, yeah. Why? But I got it. I completely understood it, because if I'm a big believer in putting myself in the bad guy's shoes if I have to. And it's like, look, if I was the bad guys in this case, black hats, I would absolutely lock that place down, because it's a short meeting. It's like, okay, let's say
tons of minerals down there, man.
Yeah, I mean, if we can let oil and gas down there, let's pretend we're those guys. We'll let oil and gas down here. What could go wrong? It's like, well, a plane could go off course. They could get snow blind, and they can go to a place where we don't want them to go. And then what? It's like well, then we got to tie up that loose end. We got to.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Do you know Eric Hecker, who lived down there for a year? He worked at the South Pole Station. He's going to be on the Sean Ryan show on Monday. Sean Ryan releases a show every Monday. Sean Ryan show has been excellent. He's had all kinds of whistleblowers on. He's on there on Monday along with two other whistleblowers or two UFO guys. He starts talking about what's really going on supposedly down at South Pole Station. He lives there.
Is that the guy that came out recently?
He was at the UFO thing, yes, with Stephen Greer and them.
Oh, I'm
the other
curious
week.
to see, I'm curious to see how that goes, because
Here's
even
what he
though
looks like. Here's his Facebook page. Are you on Facebook at all?
I am not.
Well,
But
this will give you an idea who he is. It's
I'm
Eric
pretty sure
Hecker.
I've seen him though.
He's
If
a pretty
he's
smart
done-
guy.
if
He
he's
claims
done
there's a
press
lot going on
conferences-
down there, man.
Is it that David Grush guy? David Grush?
No, not David Grush.
No,
David
not
Grush,
David.
UFO
David
whistleblower.
Grush.
This
I
was
mean,
an
I'm
Army
sitting there
intelligence
watching
guy.
that
That's
guy's
a totally
body
different
language.
guy.
I'm like, this guy's lying.
Yeah, there
Really
you
watching.
go. Yeah,
Well,
when
Grush
I
is
was
the
watching
guy-
David, I was like going, dude, there's something going on with
Yeah,
you.
he's
It's
lying out
very
his
sketchy.
back.
He-
The
I,
thing
I
about
wouldn't
him,
trust
his
him.
testimony
just
doesn't even
oozed it
matter
from him.
because it's hearsay. He's going off what someone else told him.
Well, that's true, but I
Grush.
mean, his body language though was just screaming at me.
Well,
I'm a liar. You know,
I'm not
like
paying
that.
any attention to what he's saying, but I am paying attention to what Eric Hecker has to say, because Eric Hecker worked at South Pole Station, for Christ's sakes, for
Right,
a
right.
year. He was down. That's a
somebody
long
and
time.
see, that's the difference. Somebody
To
that
spend
actually
down there
is in the
isolated
field,
in Antarctica.
right? Yeah, somebody
They do
that's
all
actually
kinds of
out in the field.
psychological
That's
tests on
totally
you.
different. Yeah, obviously.
What's that?
I said somebody that's out in the field. That's totally different.
Wait a minute.
Listen,
Guys,
Take a look at Mark's face, the smart guy's face, as they're talking, because it's completely contradicting the whole argument he just made that no one is allowed to Antarctica. Now we're talking about like South Pole stations and people that are isolated on Antarctica, and he's like, but he won't call him on it, right? Because the bullshitter knows, right? You just wait for your turn to bullshit.
Think about being
let Mark
isolated in
respond.
Antarctica
Guys,
for a year.
calm down.
What
Let Mark
was I
respond.
doing?
What's
You
going
can
on?
respond now. Go ahead.
Which part am I responding to now?
The guy they were talking about was Eric J. Hecker.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't
I know
really
Eric.
know him, but if whatever he comes out with, just send me the links when he releases something.
He-
Usually
okay.
stuff comes my way pretty quickly.
Let me send you his Facebook page or his
No,
YouTube
I already
page.
got it.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
His YouTube page. Well, here's the video. Here's a video. Here's a link
Yeah.
that shows and Sean Ryan would never hammer anybody for this. Sean Ryan said you can share any video clip or anything of him. He does not care. He loves the stuff people do of his show. Here is the video. You ought to play this of the 3 whistleblowers that are going to be on there, and the main one's Eric, man. Eric, he's into what Eric has to say. You can play
All
that,
right,
man.
all
It's a
right.
preview, guys.
I'll take a look.
Go ahead and play that, Cisco. It's really interesting what he has to say about.
I'm not going to play it on my channel. I'm going to let
Yeah,
you
we're
guys
not
talk
gonna
to
play
Mark
it on-
and
on
see how it
YouTube.
goes.
I'll watch
At
it
the
offline,
beginning
that's
of this,
fine.
Sean says you can use anything on his channel. He'll never hit you with it.
I know, but YouTube only lets you use 30 seconds of somebody's video.
Well,
It's
it's only
okay.
a
I
3-minute
can-
thing.
I can watch it offline. It's
We're
fine.
getting off
We're
topic now,
offline.
guys.
No, we're
Flat
not.
Earth,
Antarctica
Flat Earth.
has a lot to do with flat Earth, man.
Antarctica has a lot to do with flat Earth, and it also has a lot to do with the UFO community. Both
That's
things
exactly
of which
right.
I like. So I like both.
I mean,
And that's another thing, Mark. Another reason why they made that treaty so quick is because, hey, they start to go down there, and here comes 1,000 UFOs up out of the water saying,
Sure.
no, you ain't. That might be enough to consider people. Oh, hey, let's just stay away.
Yeah, I mean, I always found it intriguing that Operation High Jump, which started out as a pretty big media
Undertaking,
piece.
right.
Everyone knows it's like it's public record. It's like
Right.
full blown carrier group went down there,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then what happened when it got down there just kind of dissolves into wild speculation.
Mhm.
And so I'm kind of curious, but because whatever happened down there was completely resolved by the time Byrd went back on television in 1954.
how many guys did they lose? 1,200?
We don't know.
3 ships?
Don't know. That's just it. I mean, the reports are all over the map. We don't know what happened. I like the story that yes, they were trying to root out the last of the Nazis. Now, it was true that the Nazis were the only ones down there during World War II because the movies weren't wrong. They would do anything to win the war, which is, if there's any mystical art, and why wouldn't you? That's the part that got me. It's like, look, if there's a mystical artifact that could win the war for you, why aren't you going after it?
Well,
That was what totally, I mod computer games, and there was a game years ago called Wolfenstein 3D.
Sure,
but
I know
it was, but it was the sequel that got me, the Spear of Destiny.
Yep.
And so the Spear of Destiny is supposedly the spear that pierced Jesus' side,
right,
and blood and water flowed out.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'm playing the game. I'm having a great time with the game. Everything's fine. Didn't even think about the ramifications of it at the time, but now, with some age on me, it's like, well, what's so important about this daggone spear? Well, it turns out the spear is real.
Yeah.
And it turns out that whoever possesses this thing, you can't lose a battle. Well,
Sure.
who in their right mind wouldn't want to have that thing, especially when you're in war?
Well, that's just all the saying, all's fair in love and war. However, when you get up to certain high level military, depending on what country you're in, you go to whoever general, or leader and say, hey, we should go after this object. And, like the British people are never going to do it. It's like, that's ridiculous. It's like, we're not going to spend money and resources. That's just silly. Right. But the Germans, they're like, will it work? Wait, what sort of odds are we talking about here? Do we have anything credible to go off of?
Right.
And they say, look, it'll cost you this much to go out. I mean, I love the original Indiana Jones, the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Right.
Not just a movie. Absolutely. No. If there was something out there that could turn the tide, they're going to go after it. I don't care if it's the Lost Ark or Harry Potter's wand or the freaking Ring of Power. They're going after it.
They're going after it. And they're on record saying they're going after it.
Yeah.
That's
so
the thing.
Why wouldn't they? And again, when you heard the stories, it's like, oh, the Nazis were into a cult. And it's like, anything to win the war.
Right.
Yeah. They were going to pull out all the stops, which I always just giggle when I think of other countries. It's like, no, we're not going to do that because it sounds ridiculous.
Right.
It's like, okay. Let me know how that sound ridiculous part when your cities are burning.
Well, when the Nazis, when you find out the Nazis are already down there digging it up,
Right. Right. Yeah. But whatever happened down there was completely resolved by the time 1954 rolled around.
Well, now I watched the interview of Byrd, that black and white interview where he's on that television show.
The Longines Chronoscope. Yeah.
I guess I don't remember the
name. It was the 60 minutes of its day.
But it was really I have to say it was very well done, and and he was just an amazing person. He said, hey, there's land out beyond the ice wall, folks. There's other lands out there, and we need to go out there and investigate them. Yeah. And he was all excited about it, and I'm watching his body language to see if he's lying. I couldn't tell he was lying. He was telling the truth.
In fact, I think he got himself in trouble.
He did.
In fact, nowadays he wouldn't have lasted nearly as long because there was that part in there where he was saying, it's like, oh yeah, and there's uranium down there, and then all of a sudden, like 5 seconds later, he's like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. It's like, oh God, dude, it's freaking television. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Mark, do you believe the resources down there, natural resources, is why Antarctica is the way it is? Because listen, right now, I don't know if any of you know this or not, but China has restricted 98% of the Earth's minerals against the United States. They are not going to be releasing any of our rare earth minerals to us anymore. They're done with us. You guys don't even know about this, do you?
No,
I told John about this the other day. He couldn't believe it. It's on the news, but it's not on the news. It's one of them things that they won't freaking show you. I thought it would affect the stock market immediately. It hasn't yet because people don't know. Rare earth minerals are used to make chips, computer chips. We are not going to be able to manufacture or receive computer chips in the way they're saying, which will crush us.
Right.
Now, with that said, I know that Antarctica is a place where these rare earth minerals exist.
Sure.
Is that going to open up the? How should I say this?
No, it does not matter. Money has no bearing on that place. Which is absolutely amazing that you would be. It's like there isn't a dollar amount you can put on Antarctica to let them open it up, because
who would control it? Us?
Well, that's just it, right? And what companies are you going to bring in there? And who are you?
That's the question. Who are they? Right? Like, you see, there's no answers. Well, that's the question. Now let me move on to the next thing. Right? But my question is, what's the big secret? What's the difference? If the Earth is flat, why not? Okay, fine, the Earth's flat. How does that change my fucking life? Right? Like, what's the big conspiracy? Why is it that not even money? Like, then what's the goal? Like, what's the... What's the long game about lying if the Earth is round or flat? Like this is what I don't get. I've never heard an answer to this.
You can rely on, and again, it comes down to those loose ends.
Well,
Even
who's
the
keeping? Yeah, but who's keeping
impossible.
everybody away? I mean, why doesn't Chevron just go down there and plant a flag, man?
Vaughn, there's fissures in the ice that
No,
are
I can tell you exactly
hundreds of
why.
feet deep that you can't even just.
I'm
you
thinking,
can't
I'm
just
thinking
land
it's
there.
100
Why they
UFOs pop
don't
up out of
try?
nowhere and say, "No, you go no farther, bro."
Okay, again,
true.
pretend I work for some sort of agency.
Okay.
Just for a moment. Say stretch on this one, right?
Okay.
Where basically I would go into a corporation, whatever, ExxonMobil or British Petroleum or Chevron or whoever it is.
Right.
And I would say, I would go to their CEO. You make an appointment, right? They'll talk to you, right? It's like a alphabet agency. Yeah, clear your schedule. Clear this afternoon for us. We're going to come in. And you talk to them a long time ago, decades ago. And you say, okay, here's the deal. We've got some military things happening down there, and under the guise of national security, we would like you not to do anything there. And we're really serious about this. So don't, if you send your planes and you try to do reconnaissance down there, you're going to run into resistance. And by that, it's not going to be good. And then you just, it's a short meeting. And then you say, by the way, when you retire, as CEO or whatever, your board, and whoever replaces you, you give them our card, and we will come back and we will talk to them directly. And that's all you have to do, because you only have to do it to the big oil and gas companies. I mean, yeah, there's a few mineral companies out there like Alcoa and a couple of big ones that you could probably talk to, but that's it. And then once the word gets around, right?
Yeah.
Because CEOs every once in a while talk to each other over golf or yachts or whatever. It's like, yeah, dude, you don't want to go down there, because no one wants to mess with the fear of the unknown. You don't want to mess with an alphabet agency. You just don't. You don't know what they're going to do. There's that old saying from that movie. It wasn't Stand By Me. It was in the 80s about all the sports guys that protested against nuclear weapons.
Right.
But the line was, it's like, look, you don't mess with these guys. They'll lock you in a room and throw away the room, right? They can. I mean, there was the line you probably heard me use this. Capricorn 1, the 1978 independent film, which I love so much.
Right.
Which was made, of course, by a CBS affiliate because he was so angry about how crappy the Apollo production was that his quote was, he goes, I could make a better moon mission than this. It's like, no, I can make a better Mars mission than this. And then that's when the idea, it's like, oh, I'm going to fake a Mars mission movie. But there was that scene in that movie, if you remember it, which I love so much, and it's so understated that nobody catches it, where the engineer, the software engineer from NASA who wrote his own program is going to tell Elliot Gould, the reporter, they're sitting at the bar, and he just throws out this line, right? They're just playing pool, everything's fine. He's going, it just doesn't make any damn sense. He goes, the transmission couldn't be coming from 70 miles away, right? And Elliot's like, the what now? And within 10 seconds after he made that statement, there was a phone call at the bar, because this is the 70s, there were no cell phones, for Elliot, right? And Elliot goes, and it's a crank call, right? He's going, garbled transmission, might as well have been a fax machine. He's like, he hangs up the phone, he turns around, walk back to the pool table. His friend's gone, right? Drink is still on the pool table, but his friend is gone, right? And the follow-up was, he goes to his friend's apartment the next day. And not only is his friend not there, there's another woman living there instead. All the furniture and everything's completely different, like she's been living there for years. Even the magazine labels on the coffee table are correct. Like he has been erased, absolutely freaking erased.
Wow.
And where NASA has no record of him, and it's like and that was that's the type of unknown things they can
they can do. What
you
just suddenly do not exist.
There are legal things you're supposed to apply, supposed to do, but when it comes to certain levels of power, the rules just you just make them
they
up.
Go out the window.
As you go along. So anyway, there you go. So sorry, long answer. No, if I was the CEO at Chevron and somebody, all it take is a phone call and be like, yeah, so you're not going down there.
I'm talking to Eric Hecker right now, but he doesn't doesn't seem to want to talk to flat earthers. I said, man, why not? It's fun.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why
By
not?
the way,
What's he
if-
afraid of?
Talk into here. I just gave him a YouTube link. They were trying to.
Why is he afraid? What's he afraid of? We don't.
Well, or
well, now wait a minute.
maybe it's not afraid, but maybe for him it's going too far. Oh yeah, I'll talk about Antarctica, but I'm not going to talk about flat Earth because that's crazy, right? All right, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Besides, if you're going to whistleblow on Antarctica now, hate to say it, I don't want to burst this bubble or anything, but you're going to run into a huge amount of flat earthers because
You're going to run into a ton of flat earthers.
Yeah, because we've been talking about Antarctica nonstop for 8 years.
Yes.
And so, in fact, you should ask him his opinion on the Antarctic Treaty.
It seems like he's being the Eric that's irritated. Sometimes Eric gets in irritated moods. I don't know why, but
that's okay.
He's about to become incredibly fucking famous on Monday because that show goes live. I've been watching Sean Ryan forever, and Sean is having him on, and him and two other whistleblower that are Stephen Greer. They were on with Stephen Greer. They were all. Remember you had said something. They were all in Las Vegas a couple of weeks back. Life's about to change, man, because you're on Sean Ryan's show. He's got millions of views, man. He's got certain videos. He's got to have like 36 million views alone. All I did was ask him to come on to talk about Antarctica because what he has to say is interesting. I've talked to Eric years back. He probably just doesn't have any fucking clue who I am anymore. First time I talked to him was on the Alien Scientist show. It had to be back in 2019 or 2020, somewhere around there. I was interested because he worked at South Pole Station. South Pole Station, as you know, is one of these stations down there in Antarctica where they supposedly just have these places that do this and do that. He claims there's a lot more going on than that. I don't want to speak to what he states because that's his information of what's going on down there because I can't say whether or not it's real. It'd just be hearsay.
As a historian, I can state some things. Okay.
Do you know what Eric has? He says my life changes every day. Come on.
I don't know.
Guys, we're getting off topic here. Let Mark speak.
Not off topic. If we're talking about flat Earth, we're talking about
flat Earth.
Okay.
It's okay. They can
off topic.
They can go. They can talk.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's the point. The point is during World War II, the Nazis go to Antarctica. Now, you got to look, okay, as a historian, particularly a military historian, I look at the weaponry. Okay, the weaponry that Nazis had in 1939 at the start of the war were biplanes, okay, with propellers. All right, and they weren't even that great. They were okay, but they weren't that great.
Yeah.
And so the Nazis go to Antarctica. And when the Nazis come back from Antarctica, whoa, somebody opened up a keg of worms because now we've got rockets, missiles, jets. We've got intercontinental ballistic missiles even. We've got buzz bombs. We've got the ME-262 Comet, which is literally a rocket plane. And it's like, okay, where in the world did they get all this all of a sudden out of nowhere? And people say, oh, well, so-and-so came up with the idea and so-and-so did. Okay, fine. But I mean, I think it's an awful big coincidence that, before they went to Antarctica, they're in biplanes, literal biplanes. And then when they come back, they got all this cool tech, Yeah. I just find it a little coincidental. You feel me?
I hear you. I do. I mean, Germany was... People, lose history, and Germany had tech that was so far ahead of everybody.
So far ahead of everybody, even Operation Heavy Water.
And not just a little bit of tech here and there. I mean, the whole armada, the whole everything they had was better.
Yeah.
And because it's German engineering, it's like no, they got a bit of a head start on this one. I mean, the fact that they were using, again, towards the end of the war, when they were on their freaking heels, that they were using, the early jets. And my grandfather, I remember, who died a few years ago, he was on, on the field somewhere. And he goes, there were tears in our soldiers' eyes when these things flew over. because they'd never even seen anything like it. It was so, you know, when you have something that fast, it's like prop planes, you know, can't do anything to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Germans had of course, part of the story goes, you know, if you follow UFO stuff, that where we had a Roswell thing, you know, crash in the hard ground in 1947 in New Mexico. They had something pile into the soft dirt in like the late 1930s, you know, where it was completely intact. And then they're like, yeah, we can reverse engineer some things out of it. and by the way, let's take on, people forget, it's like they took on the whole world.
Right.
And I mean, the line, and I don't care if you don't believe in atomic weapons, that's fine. I know some people don't. Yeah. But the fact that you know, the Einstein letter, you know, is downstated nowadays, where he's like, where he writes to our people, you know, our government, and says, look, you've got to develop atomic weapons and you got to do it fast, because if you don't, they're going to, and they're going to use them to an amazing degree. They're not going to be, you know, they're not going to be casual about it. They're just going to take out whole sections. Because it's pennies on the dollar. I mean, if you're the Germans, think about it. You could subdue an entire nation just basically by taking out a city with no loss of life on your part. It's like, okay, yeah, see that's your third biggest city. Okay, yeah, that was your third biggest city. So you're gonna do what we tell you to do, because you know, you can't even fight back against us when we do this stuff.
Well, at the time, we had nothing to defend against that. You know, there was a lot of talk about their V2 missile. Oh, yeah. You know, and how it, you know, what do you do? I mean, we had nothing that even compared.
Or the what was the, you probably know the model number. What was the cruise missile? The early, not the
V. Well, that was the V1.
The V1, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was V1.
Yeah, the early, I mean, cruise missiles. I mean, for God's sakes.
Yes,
cruise missiles in the mid 1940s. That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely crazy. And you had to send down fighter planes to shoot them down. The only saving grace was they were slow enough that you had a chance to shoot them down.
Right.
But you know, the tech that they were, you know, they were getting better and better at this.
Better every day. Yeah. I've seen their prototypes.
The other thing.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was about to say we should probably segue into something else, but I wanted to mention that I always found it interesting that in war, if you are really intelligent, if you can build the cool stuff, you're never going to be a war criminal. Oh no. You're an asset at that
you're
point.
An asset. Yeah.
And it's like, you know, the fact that the Soviets and the Americans divvied up the German scientists, the fact that we had to split them. It's like no, we're gonna take those guys. You can have those guys. We're trading like baseball cards.
I know.
And both sides got a lot of, you know, their programs were advanced because of it. And it's like, oh yeah, tank commanders and other things. Oh no, you're going up before a tribunal. But you guys, we're giving you sweet jobs. I mean, Wernher von Braun ended up being like an American hero.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much did.
It's like, even though any other time he would have been a war criminal, he would have been hung, he would have been shot.
Yeah. And I was actually talking to somebody the other day about this. You know, Hitler was preoccupied with this idea of the Schnellbomber, you know, a bomber that could go super fast, bomb the target and get the hell out. And, you know, he was obsessed with that. They said he would talk about it daily even. Yeah. And so, you know, so that's what they were gearing towards, was, you know, creating something. And they came up with what they called the America bomber. Oh my goodness. If they had succeeded with that, and they had succeeded with Operation Heavy Water, we were done. We were done.
I mean, we're very, you know, the people say that on a side conspiracy, you know, the Pearl Harbor thing, people say that it's too big a conspiracy because, you know, it goes into patriotism, what you're willing to do to win the war. And I go, it's pretty simple, really. I go, men in power very rarely relinquish power. And if you have a choice, it's like, look, if we aren't engaged in the war, if the Americans don't enter the war, the part that people don't realize is that Germany already had planned for America. You know this, where it's like they weren't going to fire a shot on us. There were too many German citizens already in Minnesota and Wisconsin. I mean, my family we're freaking from there. Yeah. Their whole plan was, oh no, we're going to take Europe, we're going to burn down Russia, we're going to burn down Britain, and then we're going to run dual flags with America and be like, no, America's just going to be part of the German Empire.
Correct.
We're never supposed to fight us. And on our side, we're like, okay, what do we do to counteract that? And it's like, no, Pearl Harbor had to happen.
Right.
Had to happen.
Yeah.
And when it did, it's like, oh, okay, well, there's the rallying cry. And it's like, well, Japan's tied to Germany, therefore we're an enemy with Germany. And, then it just got messy from there. But it was a necessary evil. What you have done, would you have sacrificed, a few thousand men? Come on, it happens in war all the time.
Yes.
Right? With you sacrifice.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to do some things for a battle cry. I mean, Custer was used as a rallying cry. The Alamo. So if you sacrifice the Alamo, you now have a rallying cry. Look what we got for it, right? We took Texas, New Mexico, because it used to be old Mexico,
right?
Arizona, and that worthless piece of real estate called California. Like trillions of dollars of adjusted dollars in real estate for 200 men and a fort.
Yeah, but that was a pretty damn high price, because that was every single famous man in America at the time. So that was a pretty high price.
Good point.
That was a very high price.
Crockett, and it was. But at the same time, that was also the point, which was
that was the point.
It's like those guys. People know who they
know who they were,
going to be. Disney's going to make movies about him, right? and they did.
And they did, actually. Yeah.
But that sort of thing happens. But going back to Pearl Harbor, if you don't do it, we're speaking German. Yeah, that is just plain and simple. That is it. That's
actually
how
we are speaking German.
We could not get. Again, it's a long time ago now, 80 years pushing. We couldn't get our country interested. Couldn't care. Right. It's like
that's normal. That's normal though. That is the normal policy. The founding fathers were very clear: do not engage in foreign entanglements, and Americans understood that, and they, the ones that are loyal to the founding fathers are like, hey, it's not our fight. Let's stay the fuck out of it. Don't get involved. Yeah. And I could kind of see that, I don't know. I mean, it was interesting, but the speed at which Hitler was able to do what he did was just.
It's the good thing Eric Hecker didn't come on. He was probably the most rudest person I've ever spoken to in my entire fucking life. He told us
just now.
He told us to all go fuck ourselves. Told me to go fuck myself. Obviously he has nothing to add. His story's bullshit to begin with. The fucking guy was a plumber down there. He was not a fucking scientist.
Well, I mean,
and he was so rude. He could have came on here. We were talking about Antarctica, but I guess all of a sudden he's way better. The way he had spoken to me is he wouldn't come on here and speak to a couple of idiots and flat earthers. So not everybody on here is a flat earther, man. We were talking about Antarctica, and I thought you come on here better than us now. He's better than us now. He's been on the Sean Ryan show.
Yeah, well,
Sean Ryan's a former Navy SEAL that gets people to come on his show. Former CIA guy who believes everything that fucking Dr. Stephen Greer says. Stephen Greer is not the most honest human being when it comes to ufology. I know this because I've been studying UFOs for over 30 years. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Stephen Greer is known as being more of a BS artist than anything else.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, we're not good enough. And Eric went off on me. He doesn't remember who I am. That's funny. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
Any shows with Eric. Eric is on my off list now.
Well, when just for the record, when is this thing airing with him? Because I'd love
on Monday. Him and there's 3 other supposedly whistleblowers. Gotta remember, Eric was a plumber at the South Pole Station, but he claims that he knows all this shit. Like he was a.
Well, you can hear stuff, but I mean,
let me tell you something, Vaughn. Yeah, we both worked in government.
Yes.
There's levels of security. That's the Eric doesn't realize. Correct. I work in government myself.
If he's going to talk about and I'm sorry you're upset about it.
Very rude, bro. I'm shocked by the way he acted to me. He told me to fuck off 20 times. I mean, guys.
Well, again, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to be
Wouldn't tell
tied.
me that to my face. I guarantee you that.
But why so fearful of flat Earth? Why is he so afraid?
Because
Called people idiots, and I said not everybody on here is a flat Earth guy.
Well, I think
I'm not.
I think he's afraid of the truth. That's
said,
what I think.
I already recorded it, dumbass. Whatever he said.
In the now famous words
Told
of
me
Jack
to fuck
Nicholson.
off faster. Fuck off. Are you fucking not hearing me or what? He says, dude, I'm really fucking busy, and you are being a fucking asshole. He should have said that from the very beginning, Eric. You know, you should have said from the very beginning that you were very busy, and I just would have said, oh, okay. He's very ignorant from the very beginning. He wasn't like that at the beginning. I mean, when I did shows with him a long time ago, he used to come on the Alien Scientist show. Just not a, yeah. You are
whatever.
You are just not a nice person. That's
Flat
all.
Earth does not play into. I'll give you a comparison. This will help.
Yeah.
Flat Earth doesn't play into some people's. It's rare in the truther community. Their narratives. A great one would be Richard Hoagland. Remember him from years ago?
Oh, absolutely. I know about Richard. Yeah.
Secret space program. There's millions of people living on the moon. There's 200,000 people living on Mars. Blah,
That was
blah,
a
blah.
John Lear story. Yes.
Yeah. So he was supposed to do a debate against me and David Weiss on a particular show, and he bailed. I mean, he wasn't even he was absolutely booked to be there, and he bailed without even showing up.
Hoagland was known for that. Yeah.
And of all the other conspiracies there are in the world, his was one of the few that does not dovetail into flat Earth at all. Because it's like, well, if it's
he always talked about the moon and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, there's secret stuff happening on the moon, and we come back and say, well, the moon might not even be a 3D object.
Oh, speaking of which, Mark, I do have info for you.
Yes.
There was a video where this young boy had figured out that the moon was flat. And I don't mean just flat on one side. I mean absolutely flat, like flat Earth. And I went back on YouTube to try to find that video. Gone, baby. I mean, gone. Yeah. Flat Earth. And he proved it. He absolutely proved conclusively that the moon is a flat disk. It's just, it's parked up there, like the ancient writings say, it's parked up there as a light for us.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, I've tried to boil it down, and I tell people, I go, look, everything in the sky is just an ornamental clock system that predates language. That's all it really is. I mean, it's very nicely decorated. Yeah. But that's all it really is. And come on, the moon drove me nuts. Not just because of the little things like, that we only see exactly one side of the moon. It doesn't even rotate a quarter of a degree in 100 years. But that the part that got me was straight out of graphic design 101, which is all the craters are circular. Like they got hit at a 45-degree angle. I'm going, wait, statistically speaking, that's
can't work. Yeah,
and if the Earth's gravity didn't affect those same things that are hitting, it's like the moon was embellished with a whole bunch of stuff.
It had to be hit very hard too. How come it doesn't get hit anymore?
And there you go.
There you go.
Dude, if you're gonna go down that road, I'll make it easy for you.
Hasn't changed at all.
There's supposedly 6 billion smartphones in the world, right? And people now, it's like 6 guns. Everybody's got their freaking phone out at all times. Anything remotely weird happens, they're filming it, right?
They're filming it, yeah.
However, 6 billion smartphones, nobody has filmed a meteor going from sky to ground ever. I mean, you'll see some shooting stars. Yep, you'll see them. And every once you'll see, oh, hey, that crater that happened 3 days ago was supposed.
Yeah, after they find it in the wilderness, you fucking moron. Like, are you listening to this shit? One thing out of all these billions of cell phones that exist, we've never seen a picture of, is the flat Earth. I have heard not one piece of evidence for a flat Earth in all this inane rambling and butthurt and Solar's ready to fight this guy and Jesus, it's just, and John's just up there, sitting in his own filth, reflecting on his what's left of his life.
Leave something that fell from the sky, and of course we see the big craters in like Gulf of Mexico and Arizona and crap like that. But there is no video ever of anything. It's like, come on, even by accident.
Right.
Someone's, especially like, and not even the stuff on land. Imagine the people out in fishing boats and crap like that. It's like, oh, look, hey, splash, something the size, of a Volkswagen hits at a distance. Someone's going to see something.
And that Volkswagen would have created a huge tsunami, by the way.
Well, you know what I mean. Depending on how fast it came through, or if it was a near miss or something skipping off the water, which is, by the way, what would happen with the moon. If there were random things hitting it, you see these skid marks where it didn't come in at 45 degrees.
Didn't come in at 45.
Made a divot and then, just flew off. Correct. Never happens. This place is absolutely artificial from beginning and we believe the illusion, which I love, which I appreciate.
Which begs the question. Who did it? Now we know Vaughn's answer, but I don't know enough about this Mark Sargent guy. Like, remember when he was asked like who actually is stopping you go to Antarctica? I don't think he ever actually answered that. He just said you'll get a call. It was like a movie, or a guy goes missing in the 70s, right? That's all I've heard. I haven't actually heard a case for the flat Earth at all.
It's like, okay, that's what the population believes, and so therefore, it's.
Well, it was just.
I got a question from a buddy of mine that wants.
I don't think so, John. John, you've already said too much.
But I like to listen and learn. But I do got a question from the audience about what's your take on the moon having a cooling effect?
Oh, what's my take? Oh, I think it's absolutely real, and I laughed at it out loud. When I remember it was first brought up to me in 2016, I can't tell you exactly the show that was brought up on, but I was up here on the island, and a person called in to the show, and they said, "Oh yeah, by the way, the moon's cold." And I said, "Oh, the what now?" And my co-host was Jonathan from Jersey at the time, and he's like, "He's gonna do it. We should hang up on this." And I was like, "No, let him talk." And he said, no, he goes, and we said, what? It's cold at night? That's what everyone thinks, right? So it's cold. Like, no, the moon's generating a cold light. And it's like, what? I don't even know what that means, right? And he goes, you can take the moon temperature. In fact, I think I have one lying around here. I do. Buy a $20, who knew, $20 point click infrared thermometer you can get, which are usually used to test like engine blocks and road temperatures, asphalt, crap like that. But it'll run. I mean, you can point it at your tongue and it'll tell you exactly what your tongue temperature is. Right. So so he goes, if you take one of these and you shoot at the moonlight, an object that's sitting in the moonlight, the moonlight's coming on, it'll be colder than an object in the moon shade. And it's like, what? I go, I don't even know what that means. It's like, think about it for a second, right? So if it's 80 degrees in the sunlight, it's 70 degrees in the shade, give or take, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Right. But if it's 50 degrees in the moonlight, it's 60 degrees in the moon shade. It's the opposite. And in fact, what even gets weirder, and it's like, wait a minute, this has huge ramifications. Now, does that mean that the world is flat or a big building? No, not necessarily, but it destroys the relationship between the sun and the moon.
Yeah.
Meaning, remember, the moon is supposedly just lit up because it's reflecting the sun's light. That's part of the illusion. We all know that, right? Well, if that's the case, it should be a fraction of a degree warmer because it's reflecting off the sun, right?
Correct.
Even though, by the way, the moon is blindingly white when we're looking at it. But the Apollo missions were super dark. It's like, okay, the color palette, we're just going to switch it. That's fine, for Studio 6. But but it should never go negative, and it should never go negative double-digit degrees Fahrenheit. Right. And here's where it gets even weirder, right? So then I suggested, and there's been tests done since. There's some wonderful stuff out there online, where if you take a magnifying glass to sunlight, we all know you can burn things, right? What happens if you take a magnifying glass to moonlight? It gets colder by a couple more degrees because remember, it's a weak light. And it's like, what? Right. How's that? And so then you start looking up online. It's like in health and beauty products, we've been using cold laser lights in health and beauty. You can go on Amazon, type in cold laser light, blah, blah, blah. It's usually for facial stuff, right? You can, but I consider it, medical quackery. It's like, it's not, you're not going to get younger by doing a cold laser light on your face, but they're selling them but that's not the point. The point is we've had this technology now, even in the civilian market for years.
Right.
Why is the moon doing it? right?
question.
And it's like it isn't unless it's its own self-illuminated light, which you want to go to the biblical side of things. You know, the sun is a greater light to light the day, and the moon is a lesser light to light the night. It's not that the moon was just reflecting the sun's light; it's its own night light.
It's its own entity.
Yeah. So the sun is an incandescent light bulb, and the moon is a cool LED laser.
Well, there was ancient writings that said that there was a time when there was no moon in the sky at all. Zero, none. The moon had,
and which goes into what we have built in our own when we build stuff. And I don't want to go into simulation theory too much, but when you're old enough to remember the early video games, the sky was just light and dark. Right. There was no sun and the moon, because why would you put the sun and the moon there? They're not gonna do anything. They're not active. Right. We only had the tech to make the sky light or dark, right? And then as we got better, in fact, the benchmarks of any game nowadays, any simulation, is how refined the lighting is, lighting and shadows and water. Those are the two things that, it's like, okay, what's your water effects like? That's the state of the art in those simulation worlds. So yeah, you're right. When I hear stories and say, oh yeah, by the way, there wasn't a moon. Yeah, I hadn't gotten to that part yet.
They got there yet.
And other things, I heard like there was a supernova supposedly 1,000 years ago that was close. It was actually brighter than the moon, right? And I'm going, yeah, I could see that. Then playing around, it's like, what if we make a star super, super bright? It's like, it's kind of it's distracting. It's like, turn it off.
Guys. Yes. It's 7:00 EST. So do you want to go for 8:00, then cut it off? 8 sounds good.
How about let me go another 30 minutes? How's that?
7:30.
Well, I was going to say the guy that my neighbor who saw the UFOs with me the other night is over there at Lake Alice right now. I can walk over and see if he wants to come on and say a few words.
No, you can do that.
If you
I
want.
think it's awesome that Mark has hung in this long. Mark, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Thank you. Love you.
There was some questions I had for you, but if I could just find that one map that shows that that literally shows that.
Is it a map or an animation?
It's an animation, but it's like a map.
Is it a really fast time lapse one with some days of the week and
it just shows a 24-hour. It just shows a 24-hour cycle of the moon and the sun going around that northern portion of the Earth, which keeps the Earth, rather.
I'm pretty sure I could find it for you. That is the animation that the app used as a basis, and I'm pretty sure that Rob Skiba was one of the first people to dig that thing up.
Oh, it's great, and I can't find the darn thing, man.
Oh, we can find it. Don't worry. We can. I will get it. I will find a way to get it to you. How's that?
Yeah, cool. And it made so much sense to me. Because I thought, wow, that's it. That's what I'm looking for right there. And I had it saved. And I'll be darned, when I clicked on that link, not available. It was no longer available. It was a website or whatever. You know how that stuff goes. Yep. It comes and goes and comes and goes. But I'll say this much. It made a ton of sense. Oh, there's the Eric Hecker thing. I'm deleting that. I will never watch anything of his ever again.
For reference, I would love to hear what his big mind-blowing revelation would be.
Something about neutrinos and causing earthquakes all over the world down there at the South Pole Station, which I find hard to believe.
Yeah,
he explains it as a plumber. I guess he knew what was going on.
Right. Yeah,
that's not going to go. A plumber has access to everywhere, right?
Yeah, exactly.
People got to take a dump down there.
I mean, let's put it. Well, by the way, if he was a plumber down there, he would have had to have signed. Non-disclosure.
He literally. I mean, people laugh. He would have had access to everywhere somebody would have to go to the bathroom. They definitely.
When they built. I lived out in Colorado for 20 years. When they built the the new DIA airport. Out in the middle of. The plains, and there was a lot of digging. And I had friends of friends who were contractors that worked in the lower levels. We'll just call them the lower levels. And because it was supposed to be a VIP. Right. It's one of the fallback airports. It's Colorado is the backup capital in case anything happens to DC. You fall back to Colorado. And DIA was one of those VIP airports where you can fly. It's a safe airport, you know, whatever dignitaries you can fly in and they can put you in. And they said, yeah, everybody there, they couldn't say much. They said, we had to sign non-disclosures, but it's like, look, people had to do the drywall down there, and they had to do the plumbing, and they had to do this and that.
Right.
But you weren't allowed to talk about it. In fact, he only went as far as went to say is like, look, you saw how much dirt they dug out when they built that airport. It was way too much dirt.
They're still putting dirt in areas when you go to Google Earth. There's still areas of dirt they're still putting all over the place, which is mind-boggling.
But
you know,
all right. I'm not going to try to discredit the guy. I don't know this guy from Adam, but I will say this: if he was an actual plumber that worked on a facility, you know, a sensitive facility, he's not going to be able to say jack about it. He's just not. Now, unless he's not, and he just knows a guy. You know, the most famous, most popular.
There's always a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy.
Yeah.
Right?
People remove degrees of separation because it makes the story sound better. The Matt Boylan, the Matt Boylan thing, which I bring up all the time, which is Matt said that he was an artist that worked for NASA. Yeah. But when you listen to his story, it sounds like he worked for a guy who worked for NASA. But that doesn't sound nearly as interesting. Yeah, it's like
what you're saying.
And since this guy hired him to paint something at his house. So it's like, okay, technically you're still not working for NASA. You're working for this guy. It's like you're not even a subcontractor for NASA. Even if this guy said, "Hey, can you whip me up like a planet?" You know, and I'll pay you under the table. You're not working for NASA. You're working for this guy.
Right.
So, but again, he leaves that part out because it sounds better.
Right.
And so as far as your plumber goes, no, if there was I mean, come on, they signed those disclosures, and it's different. This is different from a corporate disclosure. People don't understand what treason is, which is when you lie, in the civilian world, you get dragged into court. If you're brought up on treason, there's no court. you get put away somewhere until they figure out what to do with you. You don't get to, there's no rights. You don't get a phone call.
I work for a government contractor, so I know exactly what you're talking about, but nothing that I ever say on here has anything to do with what I do for work. But they make you sign NDAs, and they make you sign not your life way, but they make you sign not what Bob Lazar ever talked about. That story he tells is bull crap. He says a 10-10 agreement, but you sign away. There's software that you're looking at that's proprietary, and you got to sign away on that.
Sure.
You're not allowed to take any photographs of things you're working on. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that you wouldn't even think about. That you can be arrested or sued, fired instantly. They had a guy on the production line that was dancing around on TikTok, and they're like, "Look, we've never done this before." They gave him a warning. He said, "Don't do it again." Okay, he's dancing around the production floor. There's equipment in the background that's proprietary.
Yeah,
machines that were only made for that place. Sure enough, man, a week later on like a Tuesday night, man, he starts up again, and they were just waiting. They knew he could not go through a night without doing this. And he did it. And man, they came in there 6 deep and grabbed his ass and took him out of there, man.
Sure.
I'll never forget it. I saw them grab a hold of his ass and yank him out of there. And people are like, "Ain't that terrible?" I'm like, no, they warned the idiot. He should have been fired that night. They tell you,
Yeah. Absolutely.
But how stupid can you be to do something like that? And believe me, he was making very good money for around where I live at. It's incredible money. And then he tried to get his job back to the union. The union's like, "What do you want us to do for you?" They warned you. We told you don't do it again. And you did it anyway. There's no defense. There's nothing we can do.
Yep.
So then it was racism, and that fell apart. There's no racism at all. What I'm getting at is, yes, there are degrees of security, and you got to follow them. And if you don't, it doesn't matter if you're green or whatever. They're gonna get rid of you.
Yeah.
And these places are very serious about this, and it's because of espionage. It's because of treason. You're exactly right, man. Now times have changed. That's what you said earlier about 6 billion cameras because of the smartphone. 6 billion. Now you gotta remember something. Each phone has about what, 3 or 4 lenses on them now. I mean, I see some of these people that can take pictures of the entire, like somehow they can circle the world. I guess you just hold your thing in, you spin around. I think my phone has it. You spin around, you can literally take a global photograph at this point, right?
Yeah.
I never used that because I don't want to vomit on my phone. But yeah, I mean, you know, it is the way it is. And things have changed a great deal in this world. I, for one, am worried about what's going on. People just seem to go on about their everyday lives. They don't give a damn about anything. And I'm just shocked. I'm shocked that people don't pay attention to and you're right. You did say something earlier about the news. If it's on the news, it's probably not true. Now, I don't know if you've seen today's news, but now they're up to 3 bags of, just to bring it up, 3 bags of cocaine were found at the White House now all of a sudden today. Did you see that? It's now 3 bags instead of 1. But the stuff that's going on in this world is incredible. It's just, exactly. It's just incredible, the stupid stuff that's on the news and the disinformation that's out there. And what else? I find flat Earth to be fascinating. I did find something very close to what I was talking about there, Mark, that I wanted to show you. Look at this thing. Have you ever seen this? Now, you're going to have to look at for yourself at this at the very beginning.
Okay.
This is some kind of like puzzle that you turn around and this and that, and it'll tell you like what phase the sun and stuff is at during flat Earth. If you look down there in your private section.
Yep, I see it. Hang on.
You've probably already seen this thing already. It's a guy named Tony Fisher.
Let me look.
Pretty interesting, man. He's, you know.
Oh yeah, I've seen this. Yeah, when was this? Yeah, 4 years ago. Boy, it's been a while.
Wow. Yeah, well, that's about how long ago it was when I seen that, where I was fascinated by the portion where he puts the sun and the moon where they are when you have 24 hours of daylight. And that's what always blew me away. It's like, wow, how do they have that? How on earth is that?
That's a cool puzzle.
Isn't it? Yeah, I think it is too.
That's
and
awesome.
then they have and then at the very you see, and then you stick it in a globe, one of those globes with the snow in it and stuff like that. If you look at about 10 minutes,
yeah,
you go up to about 10 minutes, it has one of those globes that you put onto the bottom of it, you know, because you change the phase, and then you see what I mean. There's the light shines in, I guess, from the outside. It just automatically focuses in on that one area.
Yeah,
see that?
Cool.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it's cool. By the way, I'm impressed. It's got 640,000 hits.
Yeah, well, that's why it came up right away. And he's got awesome. You can buy it. It's actually I guess it's considered a book.
Maybe I'm really high right now, but I'm just thinking if the Earth model is correct, and the sun and the moon are kind of these opposite tracks running around, in a circle around the circle. And by these people logic, couldn't you just get a telescope, like I was saying earlier, and when you looked far enough, you would actually just see the light of the sun? You just wait till that time of the night when the moon's up, and according to their model, well, theory says if I get up on a high hill and get a powerful telescope, and I look straight across, I should see the sun's light in the sun, right? Just over on the other side. Get high enough. We've never seen a picture of that, folks. I'm just saying.
Or something. He has it on Amazon. Wow, there's a ton of stuff on here, man. Wow.
That's cool. Oh my God. Yeah, he's done some big stuff. Giant.
He's
Rubik's
got something
Cube.
going on there. He's the guy that filmed that oil tower out there. And that oil tower, if I remember correctly, should not be able to be seen when you drop, what is it, 8? How many feet per mile you drop?
8 inches per mile squared. So
yes, 8 inches mile squared. Yeah.
So is he was the guy that shot the Black Swan video? No.
Well, no, I don't know if he did or not, but that's the Black Swan video there, isn't it? At 5 minutes or so, or isn't that the Black Swan video?
No, hang on, let me look.
Oh, he's showing that line. He's got one of these guys that's filmed one of those lines going straight up into the air.
Oh no, he did shoot some. Oh wow, that was really cool.
Do you see that stuff going up into the air at 5 minutes? What on earth is that?
No, that's
water.
That's a wind turbine.
Oh, that is a wind turbine from. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No.
Look how distorted it becomes.
I'll link the Black Swan video. I've got some wonderful.
Okay. I'm blown away at how distorted that turbine looks from that far away.
Well, sure. I mean, atmospheric lensing is a real thing. You know.
Right.
Oh, crap. Let me look real fast. Playlist. I'll link it for you. The Black Swan video, which I ended up narrating.
Uh-huh.
The other part of the brilliance of this place is that there it is that the atmosphere itself again is layers and layers of illusion. Again, the average person on the street doesn't even realize that you're
like peeling an onion.
Yeah, you're only breathing in 20% oxygen, the rest is nitrogen, but that soup is affected by so many different things, be it barometric pressure or temperature or distance or humidity or all and light, and then all the light that's going to be trying to go through all those different things that's never in the same place twice.
Right.
And because of that, shooting long distance can be problematic. You've got to have really cool water, which is why it's always great if you can shoot over ice, which is not that fun to do because it's cold.
Oh, check this out. Santa Barbara and Montecito. My sister lives there. That's cool.
Yeah, the Santa Barbara one I love because it was shot early in the morning. I think it was early in the morning. Yeah.
I've been there.
Where you're shooting off the distance. The oil rigs are at 6 and 10 miles respectively.
You're at a cafe, right? There's a restaurant and stuff there, isn't there?
I believe so.
Where you're shooting at. Well, yeah, it even says that. My camera was placed on the guard railing between the cafe and the restroom showers area. You're off on that area of the beach that you hang out over, and you can see all the oil rigs and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, there's oil rigs running all the way up and down.
Oh, yeah. People don't realize that, man.
There's
all down Santa Barbara,
now.
Ventura, they're everywhere,
Yeah. The oil industry does very well off the coast of California.
Yeah, people don't realize that.
And there's no...
guys.
What?
Hey, sorry, Mark. 15-minute warning, Mark. If you want to stay past 7:30, it's up to you.
I am not. I've got some things I got to do, but I'll go another 15 minutes. All right. Anyway, check out the Black Swan video. What pressing questions do you have that maybe you can't get anywhere else that I can try to give abbreviated versions to? Okay. Anybody?
Besides the U.S. Navy laser tests, which we know are absolute proof of flat Earth, is there anything concrete that you can point to where they have no way to rebut?
The one that I throw at people, which it works for the scientists, but it doesn't work for the general public because the general public just isn't taught physics. Right. Is the gravity versus the vacuum of space, straight up. Which is the test is you can look up all sorts of vacuum tests online, but if there was a vacuum chamber above you and you pulled the valve on it right now, it would be instant, it'd be violent. You can look up undersea pressure accidents, they're horrible. It is not like the movies, where it's this slow rush of air which ruined the end of Aliens for me forever.
Yeah, that's an incredible point.
What the
vacuum has no effect on our atmosphere to suck it right out.
Yeah,
right?
it has no effect on our atmosphere whatsoever. So I say, okay, if that happens when you go outside, why is our atmosphere still here? And the knee-jerk reaction, the only reaction is, oh, it's got to be gravity. I go, you mean the same gravity that couldn't keep the air in your room from rushing upstairs just then? The exact same gravity. And I even had a physicist. His second knee-jerk response was to say, well, because there's more. I go, you're more gravity? You mean different gravity outside than inside your house? And they don't know what to do with it because science, as you know, our science when it gets up to a certain altitude, they just don't know. But they say, well, it has to be gravity. Here's where the loop falls apart. It has to be gravity or we'd be dead. And it's like, that's not how that logic works. I go, you can't just say that's the only answer. Yeah, unless it's a pressurized system. Unless you're actually living in a structure. It's like, well, it can't be that. I go, why not?
Why not?
And they go, because that's ridiculous. It's like, okay.
When they say that, remind them of the Dyson sphere.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I usually remind them. When they throw something like that, I tell them about the coelacanth fish. You know, the prehistoric fish. I go, look, you carbon dated it. You said it was dead for 70 million years, and then you started catching them in nets off of Africa. And then you had to retract all that. Every scientist in the world was drop dead wrong. And it's like, and you never apologized for it. It's like, well, it's just a fluke. I go, they're all over the place. It wasn't a one-off. They're still out there.
Yeah, they're still.
And so they
they catch more and more every.
Apologize? They're gonna apologize because of a species of fish, barely in existence that was thought extinct. Oh, we're sorry. By the way, folks, we're sorry about the fish that you never heard of until it was found again. And it's changed absolutely nothing.
Here now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Well, yeah, but that's a fish. It's not the world. I go, and they go, that's too big. I go, is it though?
Yeah, but does size really matter?
It sure is ugly too.
But I need my Groucho cigar for that one. I need my Groucho Mark cigar for that one.
Metaphorically, it's too big for them. But anyway, that's the one I throw at people is gravity versus the vacuum of space. Yeah. Because we've thrown out the photography. Again, photography gets 80% of the people into our community. That's what gets them in long distance photography. But they will explain that. If I have to hear refraction one more time, I'm going to lose it. They've thrown that at so many times. Refraction. It's an illusion. It's a mirage. It's like okay, but they won't back away from that.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, what else you got?
On that note, you have an event coming up in Vegas, aren't you?
The big conference we were supposed to do in 2020, but we couldn't because all the mandates said we couldn't do a conference without everybody wearing masks, which was never going to happen with our group.
Are they still doing that?
No, it's gone. They rolled that back finally.
I was going to say, you got to be kidding me still.
But because of that, we are doing our big Flat Earth conference in Las Vegas this year in the third week of October 21st and 22nd. I am opening. It's being put on by Karen B. Jaron will be there, and Dave Murphy, and David Weiss. Although David Weiss isn't speaking, he never speaks. He just hangs out in the lobby and looks menacing.
He gets paid.
And
he gets paid and just counts his nickels.
Is his name bigger than yours in this field, Mark?
Is what?
Is his name bigger than yours in this field or not?
Oh, it's different. It's different because David does a lot. What I try to tell people, because he's done probably over. I've done like 500 interviews, but he's done over 1,000. Right. But the reason
I know that name.
The difference is all my interviews were unsolicited. I never picked up the phone.
Right.
David, because he has to keep the app going as fast as he's got to keep the ball rolling. People call every freaking podcast that has contact information. And so, which is good and bad. He gets to do the interviews, which I would never do because there's hostile interviews. So he'll get. So it's like, hey, you want to have a flat earther come on, and depending on who you get, it's like, oh yeah, I got some words for some flat earthers, and then they wind up on him. Right. And so he's developed a really, really thick skin. But yeah, he doesn't do audio that well. When I started doing this, I was doing it for radio and podcasts without video streaming. He prefers, he's got a wonderful routine where he just has clips. He's just firing clips up from his app constantly. His defense is a good offense. You've heard that before, where he puts them on their heels and reminds everybody in science how much science they've forgotten. Right. When he comes on, it's like, how fast the Earth's spinning on its axis, how fast is it going around the solar system, how fast is our solar system flying sideways.
Does anybody remember ether?
There you go. Yeah,
that's what I like to bring up. Yeah, I like to bring that shit up. I do have one serious question for you.
Sure.
That probably nobody has ever asked you, or at least they haven't asked.
Okay, one more question.
You're gonna love this one. This is a good one. Okay, you ready?
One more, then we're ending it.
What is your opinion of Flat Earth Society?
At their best, they are just compromised, lazy people. Being nice when I say that. Meaning, they're a society that was resting on their laurels for years and years because they never took themselves that seriously.
Right.
At their worst, which is why I made a clue about it,
Right.
Because I joined the Flat Earth Society back in 2014. Just because I was like, I got to figure out if anyone knows anything about Flat Earth.
Right.
And when I figured out that the trolls were running the velvet rope, running the velvet rope,
Yeah.
They were just sitting out front going, "There's nothing to see here. It's not real. It's not serious. Move along."
Right. Right.
It's like, okay, that would be, I always found that interesting because it's like, look, that whole site only had 500 members.
Right.
So why are you trolling them 24/7?
Right.
And then I put the message out to people. I said, don't go there. Don't even bother.
Right.
Which tickles me now because I have people coming back. It's like, Mark joined the Flat Earth Society. He's a bad person. I'm going, the whole reason you're even telling me that is I put it out there 8 years ago. And now circle back.
Well, because people come to me, they say, Vaughn, you sound totally different than people that they talk to Flat Earth Society.
Right.
They said, why do you sound different from them? I said, because I'm not a quack. I'm not a quack. I'm the real deal.
To this day, by the way, we've done conferences for 8 years?
I'd like to know who's coming to Vaughn all the time. People are talking. You should hear the people talking. That's all. That's what he sounds like, right? He's always, people are saying Vaughn. Now people said Vaughn. Oh, they all laughed at Vaughn. Like, no one is coming up to Vaughn. No one has ever asked Vaughn that question. In case there's any doubt out there, Vonhelton has never in his life been asked that question.
No one in the Flat Earth Society has ever come up to me.
And they won't.
And I had a call 2 years in. I had a call from one of them in 2017, and I said, and they said, "Oh, really support what you're doing, blah blah blah." And I had to stop them. I'm going, dude, where have you been for the last 2 years?
Right. This is my first interview since 2015 when you started it.
Yeah, I go, we've been destroying the internet. We've been crushing the numbers. And you guys now are coming out. It's like, oh, hey, you guys seem to be doing some good stuff. It's like, we don't need you.
No.
At all.
Well,
So that was it.
That's the thing. When that, the fact that they're now coming out, we have a phrase for that. Actually, it's multiple words, a phrase. We have a phrase for that. It's called controlled opposition.
Sure.
And that's what I'm thinking they're kind of leaning into. Maybe not. Maybe it's still just a bunch of happy-go-lucky trolls, but it might be trolls that are getting paid too.
I wouldn't call them full-blown controlled opposition, because if you were full-blown, again, if I was a black hat, I would have them be on media. I would have them come out, and I would create this massive division to where the Flat Earth Society doesn't endorse David or Jaron or Bob or Rob or any of those guys. And they didn't. They just seemed to be, I mean, again, it was weird because they started out kind of fun. They had Thomas Dolby as their first member, because it's like, oh, make a musician as our high profile guy. And then they just kind of faded away. So it's like, but it didn't matter because everyone, social media, the new stuff. So I say Flat Earth 2.0. We don't need them. You guys can do whatever the hell you want. I mean, they're so far in the rearview mirror now. I don't even care.
Well, as Def Leppard says, it's better to burn out than fade away. So
there you go.
There you go.
Hey, Mark, I just want to say I really respect everything you do. I'm on the fence with a lot of stuff. I believe that the government covers up a ton of shit.
Oh God!
With that.
Wait a minute. Did Def Leppard say that in the song? I'm pretty sure. Well, because I know, isn't that Neil Young? Or maybe I'm getting the quotes mixed up, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't Def Leppard.
Said, I do find a lot of some of the stuff you say blew me away scientifically, and I've looked into a lot of.
It's the only answer. It's the only answer.
Well, I know it's just insane to think that we are on a spinning ball because 18,000 miles an hour flies through space. Let me close miles an hour or something like that. It's just it is insane to think of that. I agree.
All right. Well, let me close with this. Let me close with this because this kind of sums it up.
Mark close.
Well, Mark's actually going to close, but no, Mark's not going to close. Okay, I'm going to close. Okay,
no,
all right. I'll close it. All right, we'll close with this. All right.
I'll give you 30. I'll do 30 seconds after you're done.
Okay, good. Here's what somebody told me years ago. Here's what somebody told me years ago.
Yeah.
They said go back to the old black and white TV shows, commercials, and movies, and see if you can find a globe sitting in the background. Yeah. And so I took their advice, and you know what? I'll be damned. There's a globe sitting. Yeah, almost every movie, almost every commercial, almost every TV show that's black and white. Somewhere in that background, there's a globe.
Yep.
Well, you know what we call that? We call that predictive programming, boys and girls, and because that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what
there
it
you
was.
go. I am my closing remarks. Let me spin off of yours for a second, which is you're absolutely right. If you look, and if you're in our community, you are hyper aware of it. Every television show going back decades and decades, there are globes where there shouldn't be globes.
Right.
It's like, I don't care if there's a globe in the classroom or a globe in that teacher's office, but why is there a globe on top of a desk at a Chicago detective's office? Right. Why does that billionaire have a globe that's in frame? And it's in frame, during dialogue in the background, and most people just gloss over it. Right. Anyway, I'm not here to convince anyone or persuade anyone. I'm just here to put the idea in your head, which is why we have a 99% retention rate, because I'm not the one that tears down the globe. It's going to be you. And the last part, which is last two things, which is this is not reverse psychology. If you wake up and your life is fine and you think everything is awesome, like the song goes, then don't look at this, because there is a red pill moment where once you get past a certain point, you can't undo this.
Can't undo it.
This is nothing where you again, like I say, once you take the red pill, you can't take the blue pill later. Right.
Correct.
So just be careful if you're going to go into this, because it will change your life.
Like ufology,
like ufology does,
And I'm not going to plug anything of what I do. Just that if you want to find me, just type in Flat Earth Mark into any search engine, follow the rabbit hole wherever it leads, and I'm sure it'll take you to good places.
Well, the nice thing about being on Odyssey like I am is that we can speak freely on Odyssey. And so we can talk about anything on Odyssey without any kind of reprisals. So,
right on.
Are you on your YouTube channel, Mark?
My YouTube channel is just my name. I mean, you can just go into YouTube, type in Flat Earth Mark. But I'm on BitChute and Brighteon and Rumble, and I don't run any of those channels. People just put stuff up there.
Mark,
but thank you guys for having me.
Yep, I definitely muted these guys. No offense to you guys, but we're gonna have to end the show at 7:30. So
Flat Earthers are chatty bunches.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, definitely. Hope you enjoyed the program, and have a good weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, wait.
What?
Feel free to record my stream, whichever part you're on. So upload it to your channel.
Well, sure, but I can't record after the fact.
That's okay. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, he mean.
See, Mark doesn't know the whole fucking time they've been live. That's been the misunderstanding at the beginning when they were talking about like recording or whatever. He doesn't understand that he's actually on YouTube. Right? This whole fucking
means clip out your part of it and put it on your channel if you want.
Okay. It'd be easier if somebody just ripped the audio, and because I only do audio if I put it on my channel.
I can do that.
If you rip the audio and send it to me, I'll put it up.
I can make that happen.
Go ahead. Or I'm going to email you the link after this program anyway. So
okay.
Right. Thanks. Have a good
guys.
Weekend. Guys. Bye.
See
you. All right.
Okay. That went well. Talk to you later, Solar Marshal.
All right. Anyways, folks, that is that. As pointed out, they have been streaming over on Rumble lately. I think Todd was saying that they recently ended the live stream tonight. Obviously, we were busy doing this, so I haven't checked it out yet. Todd says he's got a new channel that's been capturing them, so this is it. I think that they have like a Vaughn and John live. Yeah, there we go. Trump target in January 6th. Oh, it sounds engaging. Anyways, folks, that's what we got for tonight. I mean, it was mediocre. It got crazy, but not as crazy as I thought. But it had its moments, I guess. It had its charm. But I want to thank everybody for coming out and joining me on this little expedition. This flat earth expedition. This Thursday we'll be doing what we do, and hopefully in between maybe we can cover some of that Ms. Parker action or something. I don't know. I promise nothing. I make no promises. The only promise I make are no promises. That's the only promise. That's